Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Linux Action Show. Now we're doing something a little different here. We're on location in Bellingham, Washington, doing LinuxFest Northwest. Now you're probably going to see, it's going to be a clip show basically of stuff we've come across while we're here in Bellingham. And then we're going to have a second video that you're going to want to watch, and that's Brian's talk at LinuxFest Northwest on Saturday of why desktop Linux still sucks, but how things have changed and what we can do to fix it as a community. It's a video we're going to put out as its own, and you're going to want to watch that. But first, watch these highlight clips from LinuxFest Northwest 2010. By the UCLA booth because they're giving out stickers and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
And they have a laptop, a Windows 7 laptop, at the UCLA booth. That's all, and they're pitching about how they're all about protecting online privacy, right? And they have a laptop where you can go on and look for more information that has Internet Explorer up with 3 separate tracking toolbars. They've got the Google toolbar, they got the Bing toolbar, and they got an HP toolbar. All 3 of which track what you do online for reporting. All of them are invading.
I'm assuming that that's an example of the invasion of privacy. That's not there for.
I don't think so, dude.
So it's not an ironic, funny joke.
I don't think so.
Did you explain that to them?
Well, it was really awkward. I didn't. So what do I say? Hey, this thing you have on display here, you look like a moron.
Yes.
We went to LinuxFest Northwest, and everybody probably just saw some clips from that. And every year we've gone for like 100 years now.
Yeah. Actually, the fest has been around for 11 years.
Okay.
Something like that.
So I guess I've been going to something else.
10 years? 11 years? I don't know. I don't know how many.
So for 89 years, I've been doing something else.
Right. So what I'm saying is, though, the fest is either 10 or 11, which means the fest officially is super into Transformers.
Probably.
At this point.
Probably, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's definitely the direction you're going to go buying the fest.
And that wraps the Linux Festival coverage. Thank you, everybody.
Wait, before we go,
hopefully we'll see you at the 12-year-old Linux Fest coverage.
You forgot about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm just saying.
Dude, that's when you turn 12.
Oh, but you're saying
that's all we'll be talking about
11.
next year.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
No, it was a good fest. You know, they kind of mixed it up a little bit this year.
A little smaller, really.
They used to have 2 big rooms for the exhibit hall. They kind of condensed everything to one room. I think they were trying to kind of cram everything in kind of closer together and have a second room that was more of a hangout spot. I don't know if that fully worked, but it was okay.
I would have preferred to have
more
it
exhibit
out.
space. Yeah, because the exhibitor booths were great. They had they'd have like the robotics guy next to the OpenSUSE guys, and literally their tables were smashed in right up against each other, so the robot guys couldn't get out. They were stuck. They were stuck robots. They couldn't move.
Good to keep those guys contained.
Yeah, no, you don't want to let the robots free range. It was a good fest though. I mean, you know, it's difficult.
And you were happy with the turnout for your presentations, right?
Oh yeah, you know the Linux Sucks presentation went big. It was jam packed and people were turning away. But man, I tell you, next year we gotta just do like a live show from the fest.
I want
because
to.
That would be epic.
Experiment with some live stream, but I really want to do something big there and maybe just get ourselves planted and wire the mics up.
Just like a room. We need like an action room.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Wouldn't that be great? Linux Fest. Guys, the Bellingham Linux users group that puts it on, you guys did a great job.
Call us, though. We won't do that.
The only thing you missed was there was no action room.
Totally no action room.
So what you do? They had a game room this year.
The game den.
They called it. It was a game room, game den / tutorium. Was it? I don't know quite what the tutorium was, but
the neat thing about it is they had Ubuntu, Slackware, OpenSUSE. They had a bunch of different distros.
Oh, that was kind of cool. Yeah, they had everything. Everything was booted off of different distros, and so that was cool. So people could try stuff out. But they should have that, and then right across from that, the action room.
Right.
You know, we could just sit in there and just keep that room full 24/7.
Yeah, we just make it a spot to come out if you want to get on the
party.
show, if you want to ask us questions live or anything like that. We'll talk to those guys.
That would be
a lot of fun.
That would be epic great. But no, it was good.
Yeah.
It was
Big
a good
thanks
show.
to the people that came out and said hi to us.
Absolutely.
And themselves.
Good crew as always of Action Show fans hanging out with us.
Yep.
So no complaints really.
Nope.
It did feel a lot smaller though.
It did. I get a little worried about that. I wonder if sometimes perhaps maybe these types of online communities like the ones around our show and all the other, or maybe those are more of the real conference now, and so there's not that need to go to the physical conference.
Maybe that's true. Or
budgets are scaled back still too. That's another thing.
One of the guys, who I can't remember who it was. One of the fans of the show was talking over the weekend, and he was mentioning that a lot of the users groups are just kind of dwindling away and disappearing, in part because he thinks Linux is easier to install now. So it used to be that people couldn't install Linux.
They would use their,
so they'd go to the local users group. They have like install fests
and forum
everything
communities
else.
have really grown. I mean, look at in the last 3-4 years. Look at the Ubuntu forums.
We've gone virtual, man.
Yeah,
we just don't do it in person anymore. Remember, I mean, we had Ubuntu Live or whatever it was called. Ubuntu Live, Ubuntu Live. The first year the show was out, and it was gone.
Yeah,
and I think from what I gather, it looks like OzCon, the other big open source conference, scaled back
or
a
like
little
dropped
this year.
one of them, or they had 2 a year.
It's not quite as big anymore, and that kind of makes me worry.
I'd love to hear people's thoughts out there. So, what do you guys think?
It's not like there's less Linux users. There's more than there were before.
I think so.
Maybe it's just we don't need the festivals.
Your immediate reaction is you'd think the two are linked, but I don't think that's the case.
No.
So let us know. Go over to jupitercolony.com. What do you think? Is it do we fit the needs of what those types of meetups used to fill online, or is it a bad sign? What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I love the festivals myself. It's cool to get out there and meet all the people. Yeah. There were so many. The one thing that struck me was when the Linux sucks talk. Mm-hmm. How many people weren't at the last one? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in Bellingham, freaking Washington.
Right.
You'd think 90% of the people there
probably saw it last year.
Have been there for the last 10 years, just like us.
There was a lot of new faces.
But there was a lot of new faces. I mean, I had people raise their hands. I'm like, how many people saw this last year? And there was a good, 15, 20 people. But most of the people in the room were new to it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of interesting to me.
Good point.
So a lot of people were coming up to me, and they actually came to LinuxFest. Literally, one guy said, because he doesn't like Windows. He was just now thinking maybe I'll run Linux.
Yeah.
He hadn't decided yet.
That's a great thing. I'll say this about,
he didn't like Windows anymore.
The LinuxFest Northwest. It kind of has the nickname for being the No Stress Fest.
Dude, it's relaxed.
Totally kicked back.
Dude, especially Sunday. Like Saturday, things were a little crowded, they especially since they packed everything into the one exhibit hall. It was just jam packed. But Sunday, dude, we rolled in. Half the exhibitors are stretching and out, and they're like, "Oh, hi, Linux Action Show guys."
Walked in there a little late. They were still getting set up,
dude,
and they were
seriously. Yep. None of us woke up until about 1 o'clock, and then we're like, "Oh
lunchtime.
Man, we're sleepy, and I could use a beer and a burger bad right now."
Yeah, the hardcores come back Sunday, and they're usually relaxed, and everybody's a little more social because it's like the hardcore missions.
You know what it is? It's not just the hardcore.
It's the victory.
It's the neckbeards.
Yeah, it's the neckbeards.
On Sunday, the guys with the neckbeards, they're all there, and they're super chill. They're like, "Oh, finally, just my own kind." Yeah. It's great. Yeah. Honestly, I wish there was more festivals like LinuxFest around because it's so low stress, even for like the presenters. Like you roll into, I've given presentations at like big developer conferences before. They're a little higher stress. You got to like submit your presentation ahead of time and get approval. And then sometimes, you just get like a ton of people packed into a room and you have like these big systems. LinuxFest, you just kind of roll in and talk with a bunch of people in a room for an hour.
And the other guy's session kind of wraps up and he meanders out. And
literally, And you set up as he leaves.
We should say the big unspoken victory this year has got to be Linux compatibility with projectors. Off the charts of kind of improvement. Off the charts.
It's crazy.
Well, the last 10 minutes of last year's presentation, you spent just fighting.
The first 10 minutes,
I literally cut a bunch of it from the video because it was so long. I think it was longer than 10 minutes.
I kind of wanted you to leave it in just to make the point, but 10 minutes of watching people fuddle around with their Xorg configuration, not exactly riveting television.
And what it came down to
plugged
was,
in, no reboot, perfectly.
Yeah.
No issues whatsoever. It was funny is that didn't even like dawn on me to talk about that.
Because it should work like that.
Yeah. So I spent probably a good 10 minutes talking about all the good things that have happened in the last year in Linux. I never thought, I should also mention that I can now give this presentation without trouble.
Yeah.
Which just seems like almost like the biggest possible thing.
Like last year, it was such ridiculous. A huge improvement. It was it
was great. Except, and a bunch of people that had MacBook Pros were given presentations, couldn't get them to work with the projectors because they forgot their little VGA adapters.
Or they had the mini display.
And of course, the Macs aren't industry standard.
All the projectors use VGA, so they were
they were out of luck.
Kind of ironic, kind of funny.
The only exception is that exhibit hall, that second exhibit room.
Yeah.
They had not an exhibit hall anymore. That it was all the lounge room.
Yeah, yeah.
They had some projectors set up just for the schedule and things like that. They couldn't get them working with any version of Linux. Like they tried Fedora
just
and
different projectors.
OpenSUSE.
So there's still some issues.
There were still some issues, but I think they had kind of a weird wireless projector setup. But yeah,
cool.
so they were kind of does sound cool. Yeah, but those were running Windows, and everyone was giving a hard time. People were walking around, you guys are running Windows. You guys are running Windows all over Twitter. If you search for LFNW, LinuxFest Northwest on Twitter, you're gonna find like 20 posts. These guys, they're running Windows.
And I like that there was like an unofficial iPad watch.
This was great. iPad. So all day Saturday, everyone was thrilled because no one could find an iPad. They're like, dudes, nice. This is the last safe area. This is the sanctuary. This is our Jericho.
Although
we have an
nothing about
iPad
how
free
everyone
zone.
had an iPhone.
Dude, don't ruin this, man.
Yeah, okay,
You're ruining the moment.
Okay, sorry.
So this is our iPad free zone, and people were twittering about it, and people saw that on Twitter. They're like, dude, that's rad. And people were retwittering it. They weren't even at the fest. They're like, dude, no iPads at LinuxFest Northwest. Woo! And then Sunday, someone found an iPad.
Spotted.
Some dude had an iPad inside of a notebook, like he had it like concealed.
Yeah, hiding.
So it was like essentially like a trapper keeper. He'll open it up. Sneak his little iPad time.
Wait, a trapper keeper's awesome.
I don't know what it was. It was just a nice little notepad. I want it to be like a Ninja Turtle trapper keeper or something.
Totally.
Like that, but it's not. But yeah, so he's hiding it. But yeah, so someone spotted that. So there was officially one iPad at Linux Fest Northwest.
So for those of you who say Twitter doesn't have value, you now have been corrected.
Dude, it's great. Now, the bad side to this is most of the people twittering that message did so on their iPhones.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And then we checked it on the iPhones.
Yeah. It's
next year, guys, let's try and get the iPhone usage down to I'm just saying 50%. Let's say 50% of us have to not have an iPhone.
I bet next year,
it's mostly Android.
Yep.
I'm hoping because good Lord, guys, good Lord. And seriously, next year, I want 0 iPads. I don't care if everyone has one.
Don't bring it.
Don't bring it and pretend, dudes. Pretend like you don't have an iPad.
All right, Brian. Well, I think that wraps up our look at LinuxFest Northwest 2010.
I think it does. So I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because this is a very weird Linux Action Show.
Yeah.
But we are at the end of it.
Yeah, that was kind of it.
Like we're done recording it.
We don't know if... I think we probably got it's probably a short episode. We haven't gone through everything yet at this point.
Well, it's hard. We got a bunch of footage from Linux Fest. Good times. You have a good time?
I think we're going to put out your first Saturday speech, the Desktop Linux Still Sucks speech.
Yep. We got that.
Out
we'll
its
put
own
that
video.
Out. And I've got the slides from that. We'll put out in openoffice.org format.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a presentation. So people can look at it and see the presentation of it. And then we'll give another one actually earlier today. I think my time zone brain part isn't working quite right. So I don't actually know what's happening right now or over the last 24 hours.
Pretty much always the case.
But yeah, so then the what was the other one I gave called?
The development on desktop Linux options one.
Oh yeah, I go over all the different development tools and options. We'll throw that one up at some point too. Hopefully if the audio came out well. And
we haven't checked it yet.
If not, I'll throw the slides up. Hey, guess what format those will be in?
Microsoft PowerPoint.
That's absolutely right.
Nice. All right, everyone. Well, if you'd like to get a hold of us, there's a few different ways you can do that. You can go to jupitercolony.com.
That's one.
You can go emailing us if you'd like. You can do that linuxactionshow@jupiterbroadcasting.com.
2.
There's all kinds of other fancy ways. There's the Twitter.
There's the Twitter.
Tell them about the Twitter.
There's 2 different Twitters. There's Chris LAS and Brian Lundu.
Yep. And there's also probably one of the best ways to find out when we're doing stuff live is our Facebook page, and that is facebook.com/Jupiter Broadcasting. But then last but not least, you can call us. If you go over to Jupiter Broadcasting, there's a contact us page.
And on the video right now, you can see the phone number.
Including a nice little call me widget. You click that sucker, Google Voice will call you, and the call is free.
Ridiculous. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up. I just want to recap for those who are wondering what it is we're going to be reviewing over the next few months, because I got questions at Linux Fest. People are like, are you going to be reviewing this? I'm like, well, duh, we're Linux Action Show. Of course we are. So next week, we're going to be reviewing Ubuntu 10.04. Comes out on Thursday. We will have our official review next Sunday. About 2 weeks later is Fedora 13.
Mind is blown.
1 day later is OpenBSD 4.7. I'm thinking
maybe the Linux Action Show is going to skip OpenBSD.
No, I'm thinking maybe we'll stick that on the following week. Mandriva 2010.1 is about another week after that.
Nice.
And then we'll skip a bunch of the release candidates, and then FreeBSD 8.1 comes out about 2 weeks later. What's the 7th month, Chris?
Are you gonna?
What's the 7th month?
Are you saying we're going to review FreeBSD on the show? Because I don't want to review FreeBSD.
Here's the reason I mentioned this. FreeBSD 8.1 and OpenSUSE 11.3 come out same week.
Yeah.
So what I thought would be cool is we'll review OpenSUSE 11.3 and we'll point out to everyone that it's not FreeBSD that we are talking about.
In case there was confusion.
Correct,
Like I just had that.
You got confused.
All right.
And I did not even say we were going to review.
Before we wrap up this episode of the Linux Action Show, we do want to say thanks to our buddies over at GoDaddy.com.
We do, because starting at just $1.99 per month, Linux shared hosting from GoDaddy.com offers 99.9% uptime, 24/7 support, and free access to GoDaddy Hosting Connection, which is the place to install over
like 90 million,
7.5 trillion, billions and billions of free web applications, theoretical web applications,
in our opinion,
that add functionality. Plus, as a Linux Action Show listener and viewer, enter code Linux. That's spelled like Linux is spelled at checkout.
Or
20% or 10%. Here's the thing.
Linux 20 gives you 20% off hosting plans.
So you can enter code Linux or Linux 20.
You're saving money.
One of them will save you money. The other one, also money.
Oh, man. Love saving money.
You know what that is?
What?
That's money.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for using those promo codes when you check out at GoDaddy.com. And thanks, GoDaddy, for sponsoring the show. All right. So until next week, we hope you enjoyed this look at LinuxFest Northwest.
And I'm going to go take a nap.
Yeah, you earned it.
Because I am tired as... What's an animal that's tired?
Well, the kind of animal gives 2 presentations.
At LinuxFest Northwest.
Yeah, that kind of animal.
That's an animal.
That's an animal.
He's an animal.